Welcome everyone to a casted game for Age of Empires 4, and today spawning in the southeast corner of the map, playing in red, we've got puppypaw playing as the English, and his opponent in the northwest playing in blue. We've got Myriad playing as the ayyubids. Welcome everyone to Rocky River. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be in the world. Hopefully you're having a fantastic day. Today we're going to be seeing the English versus the ayyubids. A great matchup. Lots to talk about, of course. The English have gone through a few changes, got a lot of tricks up their sleeves. They've kind of ventured away from the Council Hall build, cannot often venture into the Abbey of the Kings, get the king for free, and then get up to no good behind that. Maybe second town centre, maybe Castle Age. Typically second town centre. But either way, you never really know. Could open up with Council Hall as well, look to get some early aggression. Opening up with two farms in true puppypaw fashion. Looking to get that scout out and about on the map as much as possible to get as many sheep as possible. Now, the reason why this is happening actually, and a lot of civilizations are kind of tilting towards this, of keeping the scout on the field as long as possible, especially on Rocky River, in which there are plenty of sheep to gather. Of course, the ayyubids typically go to berries early, so they are able to keep their scout out and about for as long as possible. The English, though, seeding two farms nice and early, so that the scout doesn't have to come back to drop off the sheep, of course. Now with the ayyubids, their kind of playstyle typically ventures into the Castle Age to get those relics, and then maybe get second, maybe even a third town centre if you're feeling greedy in the Castle Age, to catch up against a, well, possible 2 TC opening from the English. Of course, the ayyubids are probably one of the best civilizations to do this, and I think actually the ayyubids have really pushed the envelope in terms of the strategy. I've been mentioning a couple of casts recently that actually a lot of the new civilizations tend to do this, where they go to the Castle Age, pick up relics, and then add in multiple town centres. And I feel like the ayyubids were the first to do it, and mostly because they get away with it. You know, with the miniature wing opening into the growth wing to the Castle Age, you get 8 villagers when they reach the Castle Age. It's a great way to catch up against a civilization they're fighting up against if their enemies are going to town centre. And then of course by the time they've got relics, they add in multiple town centres themselves to keep on up. It's a great strategy for the ayyubids, and possibly we'll be seeing that today. Now, the English are going to open up with the Council Hall, possibly to try and deny that, right? It's going to try and put some pressure on, try and deny that fast castle as much as possible. Sometimes some players actually opt for the Abbey Kings 2 TC and sort of give up a little bit of control of the relics. Just, you know, then looking to try and ramp up the economy as much as possible, and then, you know, play for that late game situation. But puppypaw today, he's feeling a bit different, wants a challenge, wants to put some pressure on early for the ayyubids. Now that will put an outpost on that gold vein, which is in a really nice spot, all things considered. It should be pretty easy to protect. Now Curious actually went for an outpost. I wonder actually how much would it would cost to get the palisades across here to the edge of the map. Because of the fact that, well, longbows could potentially still camp out here and potentially range some of the gold miners, but looks like actually the positions that they are at the moment, he should be okay, especially if Arislitz comes into play. Now, puppypaw getting the next stage as we are also about to get the next stage for the ayyubids. Now, he did actually gather 5 villages worth of 1 trip of the stone to supply the economy with that Arislitz upgrade, as we start to see the first longbowman venturing on the field very, very fast for the English. Now, I would like to say a very big thank you for everyone who's been supporting the channel, whether it be on Twitch or YouTube. You guys are absolute legends. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And if I may ask a small favour for those watching on YouTube later on, if you wouldn't mind dropping in the comment section below your favourite emoji, it really helps me out on the YouTube algorithm side of things. Trust me, it really does. And it's just a couple of seconds and it's completely free for you guys. So thank you, thank you, thank you for that little bit of support. And also, of course, those who've become YouTube channel members and Twitch subscribers, as always, thank you, thank you, thank you. But it's actually going out to more stone. Is it gonna look to maybe get a second outpost? It's actually quite a good potential for that, and the desert raider will help push this a little bit away and just delay the timing for the longbows to pop on through. But yeah, typically it looks like that actually. Struggling on wood for it, but he's going to go for wood now. Yeah, gonna grab another 50 stone. Possibly to protect the berries, to be fair, because I mean, he does need that food. The great thing about Rocky River, though, you can kind of get away with it, right? Because there's a lot of sheep underneath the town centre. So should be able to afford the food cost it takes to get to that Castle Age. But you love to see this kind of playstyle from the English. It's very reminiscent of the English of old. Getting the longbowman up and maybe even... I mean, at this point, actually, kind of already has to stick with longbows because the ayyubids is going to be pretty greedy. He's going to invest in a second outpost. Again, from a timing perspective, actually, you wonder, actually, at this point, it probably would have been more cost-effective to get the palisades, right? Because you had to make double trip with 5 villagers for the stone. And there's already 200 wood here on the outposts. Longbow's going to creep on through. Doesn't have the arrow slits just yet. It'll take some time for that to happen. Does garrison some couple of those villagers. But it will be some idle time here. I might even pick off one villager if he's... puppypaw doesn't quite manage it in the end. And Myriad manages to save it. Just about. It's being pinned at home here a little bit. Manages to garrison the weaker villagers. So Myriad doing a great bit of micro here to keep the villagers alive for as long as possible. As we see another desert raider popping on out. Yeah, but the arrow slits now, double arrow slits is in, and so yeah, the longbows do now back away, and it should be able to mine gold freely, but berries could be the next target here for puppypaw potentially. And getting blacksmith upgrades, getting siege engineering, looking to get some rams out nice and early to challenge that fast castle timing. Looks, however, though, with the food safely underneath the town centre and the gold mining away for their ayyubids, he should get there. And do you know what's devastating? Is the ability to make a manjanik. It's something that is incredibly powerful, the mangonel equivalent for the ayyubids, and they can do that on the field with their cavalry, or any unit at this point, because the miniaturing allows a cavalry to build siege engines as well, so that's going to be really powerful at pushing all of this away. In fact, it's probably the best way to do it. A couple of camel lancers wouldn't hurt either. One thing to consider is that the wood line is nice and safe behind the palisades, and that's exactly what it's going to go to now that the stragglers have been pretty much exhausted around the town centre. Desert Raiders going around the side and to see if they can pick off any straggler longbows, pick off the reinforcements, and then move on out. Now the play from here, I mean, ultimately he has gone pretty aggressive at puppypaw, so he will invest in a ram and try and pressurize this. Myriad now will be on his way up to the castle age with growth. There's no way to quicken this up, so it will just take the full 1 minute 30 seconds to get there. The great thing for the ayyubids, though, to be fair, because the age up is relatively slow, by the time they get there, they usually do have a decent amount of resources to actually pump into military. But of course, ideally, you want to go up as quickly as possible. The great thing about the ayyubids, though, the age up is safe, right? Often you'll see civilizations that do go for a cheeky fast castle, that actually the landmark being built could be under pressure. Loses 2 villagers here, nice and early here. Puppypaw getting some value. When the ram torches are out, as he's going to get the torches, he's going to garrison. It's going to be a bit of a micro fiesta here. He's killed another. Those longbows coming at the right time. Here we go again. And looks like the outpost will go down with the clown carring micro. And he might even pick off another villager. There is one that's pretty weak. The ram probably going to go down here. It's pretty weak, although no, it stays alive for now. Villagers are running for their lives. 4 have been killed. 5 have been killed. That's absolutely massive. The ram does go down in the end, so the longbows do have to back away. And we might actually just try to take a trade and snap some villagers. Does get another one there. Great value. And here comes the stable. It's lost 6 villagers so far here, though, Myriad, under a lot of pressure. With that stable, though, might get a cavalry lancer, and can't afford the manjanik, of course. It's actually relatively expensive. All things considered. It is 400 wood, 200 gold. He's got the gold, not quite the wood, though. And to be fair, he may have had the wood if he... I mean, it's 150 wood for a stable, so would have needed... Oh, he's got 2 stables now, so possibly could have afforded it, but it's going to go for camel lancers anyway, because it's the more mobile unit. It scales well for the purposes of what he needs at the moment, which is to get map control, to then try and pick up some of those relics. But with the double stable opening means it needs a little bit more wood for the mosque and the initial dervishes. Behind this, puppypaw, of course, very far away from any sort of castle age. About to say Imperial Age there, but yeah, castle age. So he's going to need to keep pumping and do some damage, or maybe stop production and get the castle age himself. But if he does that, it's a bit tricky, right? He's going to be super delayed, and it's probably going to give away the relic positions anyway. So it might be worth just taking the fight. Desert Raiders get absolutely smashed by these longbows, but the camel lancers is a different breed. This is going to be difficult to take. It's going to cause a bit of trouble here for sure. He does have a good number of longbows. No steeled arrow just yet for the English. Paintings deploy. Doesn't quite snag the camel lancer as the second camel lancer pops out as well. And as the numbers start to escalate, this could be dangerous. It's producing from both stables. So good macro here behind this. And he's also going to get the blacksmith. If he gets iron undermesh, these longbows are going to be very, very kind of useless. Tell you what won't be useless though. a spearman or two. They can still do some damage, even though they're feudal age units, especially with the support of the longbows. He's going to need a lot of them. Camelons are just going to ride on by and look to try and get a bit of a counter raid on villagers, do some eco damage, as we start to see more farms popping out now for the English and puppypaw. Wheelbarrow on the way. And quite possibly going to see a mosque being placed down soon. Does have Golden Age tier 1, so we'll get that extra 10% gather rate for resources for all the villagers. Sniping out one spearman. Loses a desert raider. Backing away now with the 2 camel lancers on the right side. And a good mass of longbows and 2 spearmen kept together on the forward position. Yeah, I love the fact that he's keeping the spearmen with the longbows, right? Just to challenge those cavalry units. But before too long, the food underneath the town centre, that's going to run out pretty soon. So it's going to be a bit tricky. Looks like maybe a Ghulam switch here for the ayyubids. Because of those spearmen, right? Loses yet another villager, possibly another. No, manages to escape out there. And, you know, with all this running around, unfortunately, Myriad hasn't been able to get any damage out of this, so he's probably feeling a little bit awkward about things. That growth did give him an extra 8 villagers, but puppypaw, even with 1 town centre, is actually ahead. Only just, but it's ahead nonetheless. There's 8 villagers from the growth wing. Hasn't done all that much good for the ayyubids. He suffered a lot of losses. Getting to the stage of the game, 15 minutes, where, yeah, the food underneath the town centre will be running out pretty soon, so he's going to need to venture out and get on deer packs or anything he can, and it's actually the English that are doing that. Picking off the free resources off the map, and I mean, he's still getting a farming transition anyway, so the economy will be running smoothly. It's still a valuable thing to get those free resources off the map for the English, because it delays how many farms he needs, and despite them being cheaper, it still would cost investment, of course, so he wants to keep pumping out good number of spearmen now, so those lancers will struggle. But with Ghulam going to be approaching soon, and that could be a unique challenge, a difficult challenge to deal with. I wonder when puppypaw decides to go to the castle age. Oh, villagers here, going to get an outpost, but it might not come in time. Charge comes on in. There's the first blood there for the ayyubids. Picks off a second, but he does lose a camel lancer for it, so all in all, not too terrible there for puppypaw. You know, obviously, ideally, he wouldn't have lost anything, but he has picked off 8 villagers and only lost 2. This could be a focus for attack for the ayyubids, actually, this deer camp. We'll have to see. Welcome in, Rikal, on the Twitch side of things, on Twitch chat. Welcome on in. Of course, for those watching on YouTube later, I do stream on Twitch pretty regularly, so more than welcome to come and say hello and drop by. I'll leave a link in the video description where you can find me on Twitch. It's quite nice to chat with people live between games mostly, and also sometimes during. Right, Ghulam numbers look pretty good. Oh, where are these villagers off to? Oh, it must be a misclick. Or maybe not. It's going to the deer camp, right? Okay, there he is. With a good number of units, this is going to be tricky for puppypaw to deal with, right? He's moving out with a good number of Ghulam, and he's got wedge rivets as well, so these longbows barely going to do any sort of damage on these. Got 6 ranged armor. The longbowmen, they only do 7 damage. So he's actually doing 1 damage per longbow, and these guys have 195 health. Imagine having to have 195 longbows to one-shot these Ghulam. There's no way he takes this fight. He just can't. Having to back on away. And I think puppypaw, he's probably going to need that castle age pretty soon. Golden Age tier 2 has been activated, so the research times will be significantly decreased. Research speed, of course, increased. Getting survival techniques as well, just to gather that food a little bit quicker from the deer. Right, he's going to try and take the fight now. Ghulam's backing away. Does have a sizable number of longbows here. Takes the trade. He's going to back away and regroup, it seems. And he's challenging the deer camp with just a couple of Ghulam, 1 or 2 actually. Nice touch there, just to push the villagers away from the deer camp as much as possible. I guess at this point, it's up to Myriad just to put puppypaw under pressure, keep him at home, and behind all of this, he is looking to pick up some of those relics. You can see 1 relic is being carried already for the ayyubids. He needs to get as many as he possibly can once he has all this map control established. Of course, it's going to be a throwaway of most of these units, but again, he's causing a bit of idle time for sure. 10 villagers, about 1/5 of the economy idled so far here for the English. He's going to take out the spearmen now. And that actually, to be fair, might allow the camel lancers to dive in a little bit more than they have been able to. Now, fighting underneath the town centre is not ideal, but sometimes you have to do what you got to do. I mean, he's got a network of castles, of course, don't forget. Gonna pick off a couple of longbowmen. He's over on the berries as well. Getting the free food, trying to delay this farming transition as long as possible. And he has now added that second town centre, that typical play style. But this is kind of curious, right? Because I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, he's up against a 1 TC English because he's got nothing to catch up with. And I think it might be a little bit greedy, right? Because he's doing a lot of damage. It might be worthwhile just doubling down. But in fact, Myriad says, well, I've done damage. Maybe it's my turn to be a bit more greedy against the second town centre. Granted, the castle age for the English will be the King's Palace. So interesting. I mean, I guess it's a good thing in the end that the ayyubids have gone for a second town centre. Of course, with the King's Palace, that's kind of curious, right? You have to wonder on a different story arc how this could have panned out if actually Myriad did stay 1 TC and things did continue with King's Palace. It can be hard to fund 2 town centres production against a 1 town centre ayyubid push. And ayyubids that have been in the castle age for quite some time. Now granted, in the next sort of 10-15 minutes, it might be, maybe even over that, 5-10 minutes, it might be the case that the ayyubids need a farming transition. But he's on berries quite heavily. As long as he keeps that map control, he'd be fine to take these free resources. He even manages to get a sacred site. He's got 2 relics on the way back home. Here's the first of them. And that's going to set him well up for the late game. King's Palace getting in play now. Now overall though, puppypaw has actually killed more villagers throughout the game than he has lost. Believe it or not. There's the second of the relics. Another one straight down in the middle, one here on the right side. So it could be a 4 relic game here. For the ayyubids potentially. We'll have to see. Maybe even a 5th relic actually. Depends on if he's able to take this one in the middle. Continues to trickle in those Gulam. He might need to actually try and group them together and have a bit more momentum. Because now he's going to be up against a Castle Age English, right? That becomes a little bit more tricky because if the veterancy comes on in with the longbows, they can do a lot more damage. He's got a couple of crossbows. Try to get Manjanik in a 4 position. Won't be able to, unfortunately. Gave the hand away. And I wonder whether now the English would look to try and get a siege workshop for some spring hordes. Recognizing the plan that Myriad is going for with the Manjanik. He gave away that plan. Maybe puppypaw will react. Building Manjanik a little bit further close to home. In the middle of the map though. The second town centre, the village elite should really start to scale up nicely here for Myriad. It will give him a nice timing push maybe in the next sort of 20 minutes or so. When the economy does pay for itself back and into military. Speaking of which, that military is now putting some pressure. Longbows though, kiting as much as they possibly can. With good range, should get another couple of shots off, and he does exactly that. There are a couple of crossbows sprinkled in too, making it a very big problem to deal with. But now, the Manjanik might be just the answer to that problem. Does deploy, might get shot here. Puppypaw is not oh god, he just did not react, and that was a great shot there by Myriad. And he's pushing on in. So the English do have to back away. Lots of dead bodies. The Mangadal going to just roll over them. Just for good measure, unfortunately, for those guys. He's trying to get as much value as possibly can. He does have a couple of early man-at-arms. Looks like those are going to be upgraded soon, but not quite quick enough. And 3 relics already in play. In the bank for the ayyubids. The 4th one has been deposited as well. So this one and the 5th, yeah, should get 5 relics here. This is kind of really good for the ayyubids, I gotta say. Gotta be careful not to overstep. Does he have a siege workshop just yet? Puppypaw doesn't seem like it. He will need one. Now the farms being back at home right behind the TC is a really good spot, right? Because the Manjanik could have been denying a lot of that. Oh, it might be caught out a little bit. Not much of a meat shield. Villagers coming in to torch. This is a bit of a problem for Myriad. I don't think he needs to send the villagers. Hello, Puppypaw? Does he really need to? Myriad, he might spot this and he might shoot. Hello? Come on, else is going to dive in. Those villagers are caught. I mean, Puppypaw. Oh, he must have forgotten about them. What is going on? He's going to lose quite a few. He's desperate to take the Manjanik out though, I guess. I mean, that's going to be expensive. He might not get it in the end. And even if he does, at what cost? He's lost a lot of villagers to do so. He does get it in the end, just about, only just. Crossbows charging on in. This is where things become a little bit snowbally, right? Bit of a tug of war. Thing is, if they do get caught out of position, they can be taken out pretty badly at times. But at the same time, The ayyubids, if they don't make a overshooting movement, if they do need to back away, they might lose a couple of units on the retreat. 5 relics in the bank, 1 sacred site as well. I wonder if myriad will look to try and get a sacred site victory. It's always on the cards potentially here when you have this amount of map control. Great game of Age of Empires so far. So the Gulam's going to back away. The King's Palace in that forward position, protecting the gold vein, and also escalating the village count quite nicely. Now, doesn't quite yet have all 3 sacred sites. In fact, looks like... Oh, he's going to try and get a Magic on the front line. That's a bit unlikely to happen. And he does back away. Dervish gets a couple of arrows in the butt. Has to get out of there. The sacred site behind the palisades there for the English does make the sacred site win condition a little bit more trickier here for Myriad. And he is slowly being pushed back, by the way. So, puppypaw has started to escalate military. He's getting quite a few numbers out. And his camel lancer's going to dive on in. Probably get taken out by the King's Palace mostly. Gonna get another barracks, possibly for spearmen, possibly for man-at-arms. It's the composition that the English love to get. Those man-at-arms longbowmen. Scales really well to the late game. Here's the Manjanik. Not for the first time, and this could be a problem for the English if he doesn't recognise it and takes another bunch of rocks to the face. Tier 3 will be coming in 1 more building, so the production speed will ramp up, which is just as well actually, because it's actually floating a bit of food, a bit of gold. I don't know if it's saving up for an Imperial Age, but I think getting the production speed now will help chew through that food and spend it wisely. Goes back to the network of castles. It might need to back away here, the ayyubids. Wait for the Manjanik to get in play, because it's up against a strong English civilization with the castle age man-at-arms upgrades, with the crossbows, with the longbows. Magadal, Manjanik might deploy. I wonder if puppypaw is paying attention. I mean, he must be, right? There's not much else to look at. He does back away, dodges a lot of the volley, but does take some damage after all. And Manjanik does deploy, trying to focus on the back line mostly rather than man-at-arms, right? Man-at-arms will tank pretty heavily, so it's really good to try and go for the crossbows and longbows if you can. But easy puppypaw, started stepping, making sure the Manjanik never really gets in range. Does get a shot off, but yeah, I mean, it's a decent shot in the end. Although man-at-arms looking in good numbers. Gulams intercept them. They were charging over to the Manjanik. He's likely to keep it alive, I think. Yeah, Desert Raider added into the fight. He's getting archers here. I'm not so sure about that play here for the ayyubids. Archers do not really scale too well. It's not like it's the Abbasids where they get composite bows and boot camp. No. These archers are just stock archers. He loses the Manjanik. It did get some value, but maybe it's not as much as he would have liked. Now, I wonder if Massiel is going to come up for the Dervish before he goes down. He can activate it. He's not activated it just yet. Puppypaw getting quite a bit of food in the bank, quite a bit of gold. Potentially could think about the Imperial Age. That's always an option. Alright, Myriad is population capped, getting a decent amount of stone, possibly thinking about a keep here actually, which could be pretty useful. Here comes on yet another Manjanik. I mean, it's a different story if there's 2 or 3 of them, but with just one, it might be something that puppypaw can deal with. Or the Manjanik's not going to go up. He has to make a decision here. Does he commit? He does commit to the Manjanik. He will lose a couple of good arms though. I mean, ultimately there's quite a few crossbows that he's got to deal with. I wonder if the switch could be useful. I mean, I guess that's why he's going for the archers some ways. Here, the ayyubids, but I think late game scalability with it is not a good idea, especially with man-at-arms starting to increase in numbers for the English. Farming transition very much underway for the English. That's going to look really good in the Imperial Age. Speaking of which, he's got enough gold to get to the Imperial Age, just not quite enough food. The camels do charge on in. Manjanik just about to keep on up, but I mean, with network of castles, with the defender's advantage, Myriad, he is overstepping. There's no doubt about it. Manjanik deploys, trying to body block as much as possible. Tries to get a shot on the back line. Does land quite a bit. Villagers coming out to repair the Manjanik, maybe. Where are these villagers off to? Maybe to get a keep. We shall see. Manjanik deploys and does shoot off, but does get too much value in that second volley. And the numbers start to dwindle here for Myriad. It's a bit of a struggle. It does get another shot with the Manjanik, but it's not been big bada booms that we've come to know and expect from them. Here comes yet another Desert Raider. I mean, the Manjanik is getting some decent shots, right? Nothing massive, but every shot has been landing. Does get yet another. He's having to retreat. This is a great fight for puppypaw, and he's starting to turn the tides just a little bit. Let's take a look at the income per minute. Pretty decent for both players on food. Pretty similar in terms of wood. Pretty similar in terms of gold, all things considered. Despite the village advantage for the ayyubids. Looking to decap the sacred site, walling on up. And that's going to save this 8,000 gold vein, which is kind of spicy, especially with this 4,000 behind it. Now, curiously enough, I'm not entirely sure where Myriad spent that stone he was collecting. Where has it gone to? Has it gone for emplacements in the outpost? I'm not entirely sure. So no keep elsewhere. Wait. I'm not so sure. Either way, he's going for the berries. Oh, there it is. He's trying to go for a keep on the woodland. That was not expected, and it's not been seen either for puppypaw, so he's probably not expecting it either. That'll go a good way to deny wood if he can actually get some vision. He might need an outpost. Gonna go for that stone as well. And the outpost. That would give him the vision. That's kind of important. Oh, villagers here. Exposed. Couple of longbowmen. Nice play there. Nice touch there by puppypaw. To get the sacred site decap, but also pick off some villagers. That's huge. Couple of lancers going around the right side. Couple of crossbows catching up. Man-at-arms chasing, but they never really should actually catch up to them. There's the vision. If he chops through a little bit further, it'll be a problem for him. Villagers off on berries. A bit exposed and a bit greedy. Does now have to back on home. Cavalry going around the back. There's quite a few villages there exposed, but with only 3 camel lancers and a good number of man-at-arms chasing. I wonder if he'll get on top of... Oh, this could be devastating. Oh, that's a lot of dead villages. I mean, Myriad has been very greedy here. Trying to take key resources off the map, and he will lose a lot of villages trying to do so. I think he's going to lose all these villages and berries. Oh, God, that's a lot. Over here too. And he's trying to be everywhere, granted. He does have a good healthy villager count, so he did pick off 3 resources off the map, but he's going to need that farming transition. He's got about... Yeah, he's getting some good... he's getting good transition now. He's got good wood income in the bank. He's got a lot of units as well. Horseman, going to dive on the crossbows. Good surround on this. This is going to be a good cleanup there for Myriad for sure. He's lost a lot of villagers recently, but he's going to take out a lot of army from puppypaw. Double Manjanik in the middle. Looking to push with siege. He's still yet. Oh, there it is. There's the Springles. He does have them now. Just as well, because 1 Manjanik can be managed. 2 Manjanik starts to get a bit dicey. He's going to go with the Berkshire Palace. Feels the pressure and wants to secure things up a little bit on the map. With that Berkshire Palace. Place close to home to protect those farms and the town centres and all the landmarks. I've got to say that I think all the landmarks in one screen. That's kind of funny. Capital Town Centre, Council Hall, King's Palace, Berkshire Palace. Could be exposed for a big mad dash for landmark sniping potentially. Oh, there's villagers here again. Myriad has not learnt his lesson. He's going to lose a couple more. And granted, puppypaw's lost a decent amount himself. So maybe the ayyubids, has he teched up? Yeah, hasn't yet. He's going to go up against an Imperial Age English. He has to back away from the Berkshire Palace. It narrows the angle of attack for sure, quite a bit. The big concern for Myriad is gold, right? I mean, sure, he's got 5 relics. He's going to have to go for this gold in the front position. I wonder if Myriad decides to go to the Imperial Age, or does he take the fight? I mean, the upgrades are kind of already coming in anyway, at least. He's got good crossbow numbers. Beast Axles coming in for the spring odds. It's going to take it out. Oh, that's unfortunate. He's just 2 Magic for free pretty much there. Good number of crossbows there for Myriad. He's taking a fight underneath the Berkshire Palace. Not advised. Village and gold being poked and prodded by the man-at-arms has been cleaned on up. But he's fighting underneath the network of castles bonus, and this is not good. I mean, he's going to take a trade, right, on the man-at-arms before they become elite, but it's looking dicey, right? Like, this is a fight that puppypaw should win pretty easily with the defender's advantage. And whilst he's got the gold here, Myriad, he doesn't have the food to get to that Imperial Age. Cavalry come in to charge. Allows the crossbows to go around onto the back line. Ghulam's charging on in, but the trouble is his crossbows aren't involved here, Myriad. He's only fighting with half his army. This is not ideal. The crossbows there for the English getting a lot of value despite not having a network of castles. It doesn't matter. Speaking of castles, it will be a castle here on the west side, which is going to be challenged by 2 elite man-at-arms. And whilst the keep will go up, he's lost quite a few villagers here, Myriad. He's done some damage himself though. That wood line has been taken care of. I mean, wood is going to become a little bit of a problem here for puppypaw potentially. So I do like that keep position. I wonder whether puppypaw will invest in a trebuchet or some siege or some bombards even, in fact. I think he's got one on the field actually at the moment. Taking the fight, looking to get a springald, but that's a lot of man-at-arms. They're charging on in. This is actually looking pretty decent for puppypaw. Horsemen coming in from the south, trying to get surround on those crossbows if they can, but the man-at-arms are blocking. Man-at-arms in the north and the south of that fight with the crossbows in between, just like a sandwich. Those crossbows, the filling, they are going to be filling the... I guess, to be fair, the Islamic tradition, I don't think they use coffins. So, I was going to say they're going to fill the coffins, but I don't think that works out here. Either way, a different segue. These crossbows will be looking for segues to get out of here because the defender's advantage actually working well here for the ayyubids. We'll push this back. Down in the middle of the map though, man-at-arms crossbows, that typical English composition, and he's really pumping them out. Of course, enclosures must be in by now, so should be getting pretty much a decent amount of gold from it as well. Crossbows about to head back. Manjnik, or Mangonel for the English this time. I think it's the first one we've seen from them. Horsemen getting some good value on the crossbows. Looks like Myriad might be eyeing up that Imperial Age soon. He's almost at 200 population, so now's probably a good time to go for it, because if he doesn't, he may be hard stuck in the Castle Age forever. Magna deploys on those crossbows. Oh, that's a good shot off on those ayyubid crossbows. They get absolutely taken apart. Will the horsemen try and snipe out the siege? Probably can't manage it. There's too many units there for the English. How's it going, Zuba and chat? Welcome on in. This is a bit precarious, right? There's a Mangonel. There's a lot of man-at-arms. There's crossbows. Need to back away. Oh, half of them are standing and fighting. All right, now they get the memo. Now they are retreating. Right move. He needs to be careful about the Mangonel. There's Springals there as well. And this is where things become a little bit tricky, right? Because the English have got both Mangonel and Springalds. Now, granted, the ayyubids can build the siege engines on the ground, but it's going to go to the Imperial Age first, no doubt about it. Going to go for the culture wing to get there a little bit faster and a little bit more cheaply. I think it makes sense, right? In the grand context of the game, it's very tightly poised. A bit of a yo-yo, a bit of a tug of war. Looks like puppypaw. He's looking for that war. 200 population, Imperial Age, upgrades coming on in. He might be looking to fight very soon. Bombard here to take down the keep, and sure he's denied the wood for a little while, but again, the bombard working on this. I don't think that keep is going to last for too long. It's going to buy some time though, before the bombard maybe makes its way through the middle of the map. Put some more pressure. I love this play for stone now. We're at 33 minutes of the game, and I think static defenses are going to play a key role as this game progresses. That's a lot of man-at-arms. About to head on in. That's a lot of crossbows. And the really big issue is whether the man-at-arms can gap close against the crossbows or not. It's a big if. But if it does happen, then it's going to be a problem. Both players reaching that 200 population capacity point. This is where efficiency comes into play, right? Enclosures is very population efficient for the English. The relics is definitely helping out on the myriad side of things. A couple of villages on stone. He possibly wants a defensive keep here, but I'm not sure if it will be there anytime soon. Man-at-arms diving on. The horsemen are going to charge on through. Can act as that meat shield. A couple of hand cannoneers on the back line for the English. Those crossbows need to try and delay things as long as possible. He's waiting for those upgrades, but will he come in time? Puppypaw, he timed the push to perfection. Oh, Mangonel shot on the crossbows. Most of the crossbows managed to get away with it. Looks like a bit of raiding on the right side of the map, but we'll take a look at that in just a moment. Another Mangonel shot on a couple of crossbows. A couple of horsemen diving on it. Should pick off one Mangonel. Doesn't quite manage it in there, and that Mangonel going to get further value. Massive shot as well. That Mangonel on very little HP does get sniped in the end by a couple of culverins. So does the Springald. The man-at-arms diving on in. It's still got a good massive crossbow, so should be okay to deal with this, but it will have some casualties. Trying to get that forward keep, and the villagers are here. They are arriving, and there is 18 of them on the back line though. The massive raid with those elite horsemen. There are so many villagers dying there on that goal vein. We dare not look, but we kind of wish we did now. Either way, back at home, Myriad needs to deal with this keep if he can. He should have defender's advantage. Oh, culverins might focus on bombard potentially. Horsemen are still raiding around the back, and Still very evenly poised in terms of villager kills overall. Keep should go up in the end. Villagers should be okay. The keep is up. Culverin trying to snuff out the bombard, but a little bit too close for comfort. No emplacements just yet. So maybe, just maybe, might look to try and torch us down, but not enough meta units to do it with. Villagers on the gold, really precarious. This is a problem for Myriad. It does have the gold on the west side. Half diminished. It's going to lose more villagers, which, to be fair, at this point is not necessarily a terrible thing. As long as he can keep up pumping out units. Puppypaw has lost a significant part of his economy. Now, keeping a really strong position. He's going to steal the gold, which is kind of funny. Bombard, here he goes, but there's man-at-arms there. 2 bombards, and he's take care of the man-at-arms if you can here. One of the 2 bombards could hit the man-at-arms and just take it out. Here comes some more raiding with horsemen around the back. Forces the man-at-arms to stay at home, which is actually good for Myriad if anything. He needs a bit of respite, bit of breathing space. Here comes a Culverin too. Keep should go down pretty soon. No network of citadels just yet for the English. Going to send a batch of man-at-arms on the west side on the farms. There's a lot of villages exposed. There's no walls here. Myriad, he needs to spot this. He needs to spot it fast, and he needs to react. And he needs to get units there quick time. But he might lose quite a few farmers. There we are. The crossbows are chasing as we speak. Oh, this is great work by Puppypaw. Just keeping a couple of units here, there, and everywhere, forcing Myriad to react. And if he doesn't, he will be losing villagers. Around the back, possibly going that wood line. Incendiary arrows are in for the crossbows. You might just take the trade here, Puppypaw. He's sending even more man-at-arms. Now he's getting value. Horsemen charging on in, but you know, these are elite man-at-arms, so it'll take a lot of hits on the horsemen to deal with it. Pulling villagers away now, Myriad. He has to. Well, actually, this is great because whilst the keeper's gone down, he's had some breathing space now, Puppypaw. Looks like trade is being set up. Puppypaw will spot it, and Myriad has got to get some stone walls or something to protect the trade, because that's probably going to be the next target and focus for Puppypaw. As we say that, looks like it's going to move down the middle. Puppypaw moving around on the west side. Yeah, stone walls. That's a nice bit of stone walling for sure. That's a start to protect the trade route. Now, the English might think about trading as well. I mean, to be fair, he's got plenty of gold coming in from the enclosures, but it's not always enough to sustain a full-scale Imperial Age army. We have to see. It's not that common that the English trade, to be honest. Try and get away with it if they can as much as possible. Myriad, though, is going to be starting to be outnumbered, right? Horsemen, relatively weaker unit considering the gold units on the field, trying to get on the back line on top of those hand cannoneers, but it's going to suffer a lot. Man-at-arms there, might get on top of the crossbows. Crossbows holding firm, they're not being microed. They are now. They're going to back away, but you know, the man-at-arms got on top of those, so those crossbows probably won't survive too long. Round on the front, horsemen diving on in, but they can only do so much. Good numbers of crossbows and 2 bombards as well, but man-at-arms, he's just pumping here, Puppypaw. He's making so many of them. Granted, it's not the ideal unit up against crossbows, but he's still making some headway at times, and he's killed a lot of villagers here in the north as well. That stone vein not being mined anymore for the ayyubids. Crossbows will deal with this in this position. Over here, though, this is where it becomes a little bit more of a problem. Mostly cavalry that don't necessarily trade too well against the man-at-arms. Camel lancers can do a job. He has started to deal with this pretty well. Yeah, here comes Puppypaw with another army. Let's take a look at how many farmers he's got. Looks like 60 farmers. That's a lot of food coming in. A lot of gold will be coming in with the enclosures as well from that. That's a massive force. Looks like Myriad trying to raid once again. Cause some havoc. Well, there's still an elite man-at-arms. He didn't fully deal with this. Horseman going to charge on him, but it's going to take a good few hits to kill that. Might lose a good few villagers before that gets taken down. Trying to torch his way through, forcing the East to chase. That gives him a bit of a breathing space down the middle. That might be an opportunity to attack. Up in the north, a couple more man-at-arms. Great raiding here by Puppypaw with the most unlikely unit. Man-at-arms. He's raiding with them. Oh, Myriad, he's not reacting. No, he's not reacting. He's going to lose a fair few villagers. Now, granted, he's got a lot anyway, to be fair, so he might be being done a favour here. Can't get too close to the Berkshire Palace. That's exactly what the crossbows are doing. Too close for comfort. Horseman coming out, but that doesn't seem like it's enough, to be honest. Trade is established. 72 gold per trip. 12 traders already on the field, so nice work there by Myriad to escalate the trade. It is pretty exposed, right? Trying to get a keep to defend the stone, but it's not going to happen. There's too many man-at-arms, and Myriad could lose yet another position on the map. How's it going, Tim on Fire? Welcome on in, by the way. Not sure how I missed that, but welcome on in. A cracking game of Age of Empires, 40 minutes on the clock, but it's not puppypaw. He's starting to gain momentum, right? He's actually got units all over the map, and you can see redness all over the map. The keep... Oh, no, this is not ideal. Like, he has been torching it down as well slightly. Horseman diving in on the west side. Man-at-arms, but the keeper will protect that. Gonna get some man-at-arms to the farms. This is a problem for Myriad. He's got way too many man-at-arms in his base for comfort. Not enough static defenses, not enough walls to keep them out. And he's struggling to deal with this, right? Horsemen aren't really the answer here. And yeah, the torches... To be fair, the torches aren't landing on the keep. To be fair, that's going on the mining camp, weirdly enough. He does cancel it to save a bit of stone, but not all that much. And man-at-arms, they're getting so much value around the back. He's killed so many villagers with them. Gonna dive on the bombard. This is a great pick off by the man-at-arms. He might lose a big chunk of them, but he's picked off a bombard. That's the main thing. And bear in mind, the eco for the English has been relatively untouched for quite some time. That's going to put puppypaw in a really strong position. Is there a way back for the ayyubids? That's the question. He's still got a really healthy villager and military population, so the game is not over, not by a long shot. But he's got to deal with these raids that are constantly coming in with his man-at-arms. He's got to find a way to deal with this. He's lost more than double the worker kills. Well, actually, just under double now. Myriad. Includes the traders too. Crossbows looking okay, but it looks like it's going to be a horseman switch out for the English, which is going to be nice to do with the mass crossbows that are on the field ready for the ayyubids. But he's got to get up to it, and it might help him raid even further. He's starting to build up the forces once again here, Myriad. Transitioning a bit more into archery ranges. Possibly for some more crossbows, but man-at-arms coming on forward and looking a bit dicey for the ayyubids, I've got to say. Got to deal with these man-at-arms. Keep running right in the base. Crossbows hitting a good mass. Man-at-arms focusing on the horsemen, which does allow the crossbows to get some value. Culverin and Bombard getting involved as well, but there's pings everywhere. Myriad must be feeling dizzy. Looking this way and that way. Oh, we're trying to get an outpost on the trade post. That's actually kind of huge. If the English was able to get that, then that would deny the trade a bit. But it's just being pushed off for gold. Man-at-arms going to dive on the bombard here. Potentially puppypaw should pick off the bombard. That's another big pick off. An expensive unit going down for the ayyubids. This group of man-at-arms yet hasn't been dealt with. And this is certainly looking rough. He's being raided left, right and centre. Let's go for the trade as well. Lost 158 economy units. What's that Myriad? He might be being raided to death at this point. He's really focusing on this right side, right? Because if he denies the trade, that means a lack of gold coming on in. And yeah, that's actually a big problem. Look at that. Only 200 gold in the bank. Myriad, he's struggling. He's losing a lot of the trade and he's losing a lot of the map positioning. He's got pings everywhere in his base. He's being raided massively. Puppypaw sending units everywhere. You can see the trickle of raid units across the map and it looks like maybe, just maybe, Puppypaw has got the momentum. It looks like it certainly. Villagers don't know what to do. They've dropped resources off at the mining camp and then they get confused. Man-at-arms might just jump on top of them. And he's being raided everywhere, left, right and centre. No way to establish the trade. He's getting, yeah, he's losing traders massively. He does still have 18, but he's probably paying for new ones, right? And that's resources going down the drain that aren't necessarily paying off. Man-at-arms though, numbers are starting to dwindle once more for puppypaw. Defensive advantage certainly helping. Myriad pumping lots of units. They've still got a healthy economy. The trouble is population is not looking good, right? So the economy is dwindling as time progresses. 150 population versus 200, and puppypaw, he's pumping, he's spending everything. He's replacing units that he's losing massively, and he's killing so many villagers. Has got a big death ball of army here, Myriad, so should be able to defend with it. But again, it's raiding with even horsemen at this point. Myriad struggling to deal with those raids. Not fully walled up, that's for sure. Playing it very open, and it's kind of hurting. Look at this. The unit's now starting to trickle on the west side. And there it is. He's had enough. Myriad taps out. He's been raided to death. A great game of Age of Empires 4. The ayyubids looked in a really good spot, but he wasn't able to see out the game. And the late game powerhouse, that is the English civilization, takes the game on Rocky River. Hope you guys enjoyed this on YouTube. If you did, make sure you give the video a thumbs up. Take care, and see you next time.